Welcome to Activity 2.1, the theory of continental drift. And what we're going to be looking at in this lesson is how did the Earth look in the past? And this part, Activity 2.1, actually has two parts to it. And the first part is going to be part 1A, exploring Wegener's evidence. And your learning target for today is we're going to examine evidence that scientists use to understand what has happened on Earth in the past. And in order to do that, we're going to read a mini article on some of the pieces of evidence that scientists have used to put all this information together and figure out how things have changed in the past, how things used to be in the past on the Earth. So, some things to keep in mind. First, how do you think scientists learn about the Earth as it was in the past? And when we talk about this, this is huge. How do scientists know? And as a kid, I always grew up, hearing about things like dinosaurs and all these various things, Pangea, Panthalassa, and all these different ideas about what the Earth used to be like. And, when we talk about Baraboo, Baraboo used to be very volcanic. We used to have earthquakes here. How could that be? How did scientists find out about all this stuff? And another thing I'd like you to be thinking about is how might the way the Earth is now help us understand what was like in the past? In other words, how do we get these things called mountains? How did the Rocky Mountains come to be? How did the Baraboo Bluffs come to be? How do we get these potholes on which were created by glaciers on the very top of the bluffs? So again, studying the past a lot of times involves studying not only the current, what's happening now, but also what's going to be happening in the future. So the first thing I'd like you to do is complete this driving question. How would your answer to this question change now? So the driving question for this unit, or for the book for the most part, is how is the Earth changing? How would you answer this question now? So pause the video in just one sentence. Answer, how is the Earth changing? All right, so you've had a chance to answer that question. So moving forward, what's going to happen is I'm going to give you a group an information sheet. Now, if you're working in class on this via the video, maybe I'm absent, maybe we're just doing it all online, you're going to be able to work with a team or a group. But obviously, if you're sick and you're doing this at home, or if you don't have a group, obviously I don't want you to say, well, I couldn't do it because I didn't have a group, and it says I had to have a group, and so I couldn't do it. Well, you could do it by yourself. You don't necessarily need a group. So if you're at home, you can finish it. So I'm going to give you a group an information sheet. I'm going to show you where to find this information sheet, and we're going to talk about the questions you need to complete. And then for B, each group will be assigned one phenomena to examine carefully. Your group needs to become experts about your type of geological phenomenon. So if you're doing this in class, if you look above you, all your groups have not only a number, but they have a color. So this is how we're going to divide up the work. And what you're ultimately going to do is you're going to present your findings to the class. So if you're doing this in class, I'm going to actually have you put your notes onto a PowerPoint presentation that you're going to present to the rest of the class. So if you're the blue, you're going to do the fit of the continents. If you're the red team, you're going to do animal fossils. If you're purple team, plant fossils. Yellow, glacial evidence. Green, Antarctic climate changes. And if you're the orange team, the corresponding rock sequences. So each member of your group should read the page before discussing with each other, and then you're going to be prepared to share your information with each other and complete the questions. So in other words, I want you all to be equal contributors. No one wants to be in a group where certain people do all the work. Well, I guess I wouldn't mind being in a group if someone else did all the work and I could just sit and talk and chat, but we know that's not fair. So I'm hoping that everybody does their fair share here. So where do we find these resources? And what are we going to do? So if you look on pages 18 and 19, there are 6 questions, and it's these 6 questions that you're going to answer. Now, here's my warning. Depending on what year you're watching this video, the page numbers could change slightly because the publishers seem to be moving stuff around all the time. So very rarely are the page numbers the same 2 years in a row. So what are the questions that you have to answer? What does your phenomenon show? List 3 main ideas from your information. In other words, as you annotate it, what are the 3 big takeaways from that information? How might scientists use this phenomena as evidence to understand the Earth? What did scientists conclude about what the Earth was like long ago? Is this information by itself enough to understand the Earth's past? Explain. And what new questions do you have about the driving question? How is the Earth changing? So each of you is going to be working on these 6 questions. Now, if you're working by yourself at home, just pick one of the phenomena. So if you're working in a group that doesn't have a color, because I know I have a couple of students that have chosen to work in the back of the room, just pick a phenomena. It doesn't matter, and answer these 6 questions based on the phenomena you choose. So how do you find these phenomena? Well, they're all on my website. How do you find my website? It's not very complicated. Type in Mr. Wittoon's website. So Google it, Mr. Wittoon's website, and it should be the only site that pops up. And when you click on it, it's going to give you this page. Now from here, click on Science, right where the finger's pointing, Science, and it's going to look, well, I don't have the full page, but then from there, click on Science Resource page, then click on the Earth Science 3 resources. And that's going to take you to a page where if you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see this. This is where you have all the resources. So depending on what group color you are, pick the correct one of those. So again, like blue, if you have the fit of the continents, I would click on fit of continents. Now you've got 2 options. If you just want to read the information, just click on a PDF copy of the reading. If you want to watch a video that kind of goes through and explains the readings, well, then just click on these videos. Either one will get you through what you need to know, and it'll help you decipher the information to answer these 6 questions. So go ahead, pause the video, find those resources, and answer those 6 questions. If you have any questions, make sure you email me if you're at home. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. You come up and ask questions. If you're in class, just ask away. So go ahead, pause the video, and well, you can actually stop the video because you don't have to pause it because this is the end of the video and there's nothing more to do. So just make sure you finish up questions 1 through 6 based on whichever one of these your group has been assigned. And if you're working in class, you can work with your partners in your group. Now, if you're working in class, I'm going to also have you fill out a presentation to present to the class as well. So ask questions if you got them.